Welcome to Screener to Stream It,
where we take a look at a movie that's in theaters now
versus one you can stream at home,
and we try to decide which one should you go with.
Our in theaters now movie is Life, a science fiction horror movie that starts out with the crew on the International Space Station awaiting a return probe from Mars. After collecting the damaged probe and examining the samples it collected, the crew finds a single-cell life form. A little science trickery later, and the single cell turns into many cells and eventually into quite a hostile alien life form that basically murders its way from one crew member to the next. And the crew really has to find a way to kill the alien, or at least jettison it into outer space so they can return to Earth without endangering all the people on the planet by exposing them to the alien menace. And, well, that's kind of it.
That's not much of a synopsis.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a movie.
Ouch. For our streaming comparison this week, we're going with a Ridley Scott classic, Alien. This science fiction horror mix is about a team of astronauts at an unknown point in the distant future that fly so deep into space that they have to put themselves into cryogenic sleep for the long trip. Their mission is to collect tons of mineral-rich deposits. At the end of the day, they're basically all miners.
Wait. I thought they were all adults. I don't remember them being little kids.
No. Miners, not miners.
Oh, I don't get it.
Anyway, they awaken expecting to be back at Earth, only to discover that the computer has interrupted their hypersleep to investigate a mysterious distress call on a nearby world. Leaving their payload behind, they land to investigate. Without spoiling anything, they end up breaking quarantine procedures to save one of their crewmen and end up bringing back a kind of parasite onto the ship. No joke, this is my absolute favorite slime-covered, acid-bleeding exoskeletal critter ever. It has a projectile esophagus of all things. What could be more creepy than that?
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
So, once it gets on their ship, as in any good horror movie, things start to go terribly wrong and the crew finds themselves in a fight for their lives, and that means violence.
And we like violence. Oh, miners! Like little kids. Why did you say that first? Good fine.
Moving right along.
Both movies are very similar, so much so that I would say that Life was a blatant attempt at recreating Alien.
I can certainly see that case being made, especially with the setting, the lone alien menace.
The sci-fi space horror genre.
Pretty much everything, but their core themes, Alien has a strong one. Life did too, but it didn't resonate as well to me.
There were so many similarities that comparing the movies was almost too easy, while at the same time being a little bit difficult.
Why difficult?
Well, just for the fact that one of them is done so much better than the other one. On paper, they should be very similar movies, but the parody and the quality makes them feel nothing alike.
Life isn't all bad, but the things that were done right just can't outweigh what we felt fell flat. I think we should just skip ahead to our picks.
Fell flat. Dude, I didn't know you could do tongue twisters. To our picks. For our Screen It selection, Life, we give it 2 stars.
And for our streaming option, Alien, 5 stars. Our decision this week, a resounding stream it.
Yeah, that's pretty much a no-brainer, but wow, 5 stars.
Absolutely. Ridley Scott created an iconic creature flick that, case in point, is still emulated to this day. Probably Jaws is the only other one that has been as influential in the genre. From the design of the alien to the horrific surprises that unfold, characters that you care about that actually seem mostly intelligent in their fight for survival, Ridley Scott creates an entire universe. Get it? Universe? Because it's in...
It really was just that good of a movie. Life, on the other hand, just fell short for me. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a way out there science fiction story, or were we just supposed to believe it was based in reality?
It took me out of the story.
I don't think the movie could really even make up its mind what it was. The alien wasn't very scary either.
I had mixed feelings on that. I actually liked the floaty weirdness of it, and the concept of it being all muscle and brain was pretty neat. However, you know how I feel about any sci-fi creature that is basically indestructible. It works for the Terminator, it works for the Predator. But a little puddle of goo that hates being electrocuted and supposedly hibernates when cold is suddenly immune to fire. The vacuum of space, the scorching 250-degree temperature of direct sunlight in space, and it outsmarts trained people on their own home turf. It just loses me.
I just felt it was so generic and unmenacing, especially compared to the xenomorph from Alien. And the way they put the story together didn't make a whole lot of sense either.
There were so many plot holes and just really bad physics, and not to mention character development.
Oh, the characters.
They did work to develop them, but you only had a handful of them, and if you're going to make a horror movie truly terrifying, you have to care about that handful of characters.
And there was only 2 that I actually liked, and they were the first ones to die. So after that, I just didn't care anymore.
We went into this movie with no expectations and gave it every chance in the world to be good, but it just wasn't. We tried hard to find some positive things to say, but we just kind of came up short.
Well, I guess it did make me appreciate Alien a little bit more.
And there's always that. That's it for us this week. Thanks for watching Screen It or Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday nights, because that's when we go.